I am Grand Marshal Aaron Beadle, and I would like to call to order the commencement of the College of Community and Public Affairs of the State University of New York at Binghamton. Everyone, please rise as you are able. We welcome you to join vocalist Victoria Barracks in singing the national anthem. Everyone, please be seated.
Good afternoon. I'm Dean Laura Bronstein, and it's my great pleasure to welcome you to the College of Community and Public Affairs commencement ceremony. This is a special ceremony as we bring together our master's and baccalaureate candidates, as well as your families and friends. Congratulations to you all. Before we proceed with our ceremony, I'd like to welcome members of the Binghamton University Council who are joining us today. Please hold your applause until all have been introduced. Catherine Grant Madigan, Chair, Linda Beamer, and Dennis McCabe. I'd also like to introduce our other special guests who sit with us on the stage this afternoon. They'll stand as I call their names. Please hold your applause until all have been introduced. President Harvey Stenger, Donald Hall, Provost and Executive Vice President for Academic Affairs, Aaron Beadle, Grand Marshal, Associate Professor and Chair of Pharmaceutical Sciences and Chair of the Faculty Senate, Elisa Chung, Undergraduate Student Speaker, Sheila Doyle, Executive Director, Binghamton University Foundation, Komla Zigbedi, Associate Professor and Chair of Public Administration and Policy, Andrea Falcone, Dean of University Libraries, Courtney Ignari, Chair, Professional Staff Senate, Karen Jones, Vice President for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, Sarah Marshall, Graduate Student Speaker, Matthew McCann, Associate Professor and Chair of Teaching, Learning, and Educational Leadership, Pamela Mission, Platform Party Marshal, Professor of Environmental Studies and Chief Sustainability Officer, Joanne Navarro, Vice President for Operations, Brian Rose, Vice President for Student Affairs, Stacy Shipe, Assistant Professor and Chair of the Department of Social Work, Kara Trudell, Alumni Association President. Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vinman, Honorary Degree recipient. Denise Yoel, Associate Professor and Chair of the Human Development Department. John Zilvinskis, Associate Professor of Higher Education and Student Affairs. Please join me in applauding these special guests. Will all faculty on the stage and in the audience please rise as you are able? I'd like to recognize all of the esteemed faculty members who have mentored and guided our graduates. Your efforts have been critical to the intellectual growth and achievements we celebrate today. We'd also like to acknowledge the efforts of our staff, many of whom are here today volunteering at this ceremony. Please join me as we applaud their supportive and dedication to the success of our students. I'd also like to thank the Binghamton University Wind Symphony, our vocalist Victoria Barracks, and the Edward P. Maloney Memorial Pipe Band for their participation in today's celebration. And it's now my pleasure to introduce President Stenger.
Thank you, Laura. Good afternoon and welcome, and congratulations to the class of 2024 CCPA. Good job. I want to recognize the faculty members, staff members who have mentored and guided our graduates. Your efforts have been crucial to the intellectual growth, resiliency, and achievements we celebrate today. I would also like to recognize the parents, the grandparents, and the family and friends who are here today to share in the joy of watching your loved ones reach a significant life milestone. Your support was essential to your graduates' success. They would not be here today if it were not for you, so thank you. Students, whether you're starting a career or pursuing an advanced degree, know that the nation and the world needs your talents. We need capable professionals who have broad understandings, talents, and skills. We need individuals who want to work to improve the education and healthcare systems that deliver services to our communities and work toward preserving a sustainable environment. We need people who can think critically, analyze precisely, and address complex ideas and difficult challenges. But I am confident that the class of 2024 will rise to these challenges. So let me be the first to congratulate you and welcome you into the next chapter of your life. I look forward to learning of your many future successes, and I hope that you remain steadfast members of the Binghamton University community. Congratulations, class of 2024 CCPA. It's my pleasure to introduce Provost Donald Hall.
Thank you, Harvey, and good afternoon. It is my great pleasure to be among those celebrating with you today as Chief Academic Officer of Binghamton University. Let me take this opportunity to congratulate all of our graduates and their families and friends who have supported them throughout their time here and on the many accomplishments that we're celebrating today. You are truly remarkable students who have brought your intellectual curiosity, your work ethic, and your sense of humor to bear throughout your time here. As you graduate from Binghamton, you will take with you what you've learned in your classes, through your internships and practica, from the student organizations you've participated in, and from the thousands of personal interactions you've had with those around you. You will take all that you have experienced here, and I know you will become change makers in the world. We are all living in a very different world since the pandemic upended our lives, but your Binghamton education and experiences will serve you well, whether you expect to continue your education or head straight into the new world's workforce. According to the National Association of Colleges and Employers, 83% of employers anticipate increasing or maintaining their rate of hiring for the class of 2024 compared to just a year ago. That same organization reports 90% of employers are looking for evidence that applicants can solve problems, and 80% are seeking those who have strong teamwork skills. That's also good news for you, because you're leaving us with a strong foundation that has helped you hone your critical thinking, decision-making, and communication skills, and will serve you well in whatever career path you follow. As you've prepared throughout your time here to tackle what is ahead, the next decisions you might find yourself facing are those like, what do I want my work life to look like? How will I maintain a work-life balance? My advice to you is the one I've always followed myself, and that is to pursue the career that follows your passion, and it's the one that suits you best. Make your decisions the best ones possible, given the choices before you. But as you make your way forward, remember to define the value that you bring with you to your prospective employers. Show them you know how to solve problems, that you know how to play well with others on teams, that you've learned to be a leader at Binghamton, and that you're a great communicator. Those are all the skills that you've acquired during your foundation here, and I can't say enough about them. Those skills will serve you well in whatever endeavors you undertake. So thank you for choosing Binghamton. It's been an incredible pleasure having you here as our students. Congratulations on your many accomplishments, and please stay in touch with us to tell us all about the many great things we know that you'll achieve in the future. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Provost Hall. I'd now like to invite President Stenger back to the podium to introduce our honorary degree candidate.
Honorary degrees recognize individuals who, by their outstanding service to the university, the state, the country, and humanity, exemplify the mission and purposes of Binghamton University. Their lives and achievements stand as inspiration to us all. I am pleased to announce this afternoon that we will confer one of those honorary degrees. Provost Hall, will you please escort our honorary degree recipient to the podium, Alexander Vindman.
The citation that will accompany his degree and diploma will read, "The State University of New York, Alexander Vindman. As a distinguished alumnus, decorated combat veteran, and public servant, you have patriotically served the United States. You immigrated to this country from Ukraine at 4 years of age. Later, at Binghamton University, you were a member of the Reserve Officers Training Corps and received a second lieutenant's commission in the U.S. Army's infantry branch after graduation. You completed tours as an infantry officer in South Korea, Germany, and Iraq, earning a Purple Heart for wounds sustained by a roadside bomb in 2004. Fluent in Russian and Ukrainian, you served as a foreign area officer in the U.S. embassies in Kyiv and Moscow, and you were named Director for European Affairs at the National Security Council in 2018. During a very difficult time in our nation's history, in the face of personal peril, you made investigators aware of conversations between the White House and Ukrainian officials as you felt they undermined U.S. national security. Under subpoena, you testified before Congress and subsequently were fired and faced much political fallout. Opposition to your promotion in the military was holding up the promotion of 1,200 fellow officers, so you instead chose to retire, thus clearing the path for your colleagues. After retirement from the Army, you joined the Lawfare Institute as the inaugural Pritzker Military Fellow and published a memoir, Here, Right Matters, An American Story. You've since founded Here, Right Matters Foundation and become the director of the Institute for Informed American Leadership. Therefore, for your selfless and dutiful contributions to America, the State University of New York is pleased to confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Laws, honoris causa.
By virtue of the authority vested in me by the State University Board of Trustees, with the faculty of the State University of New York concurring, I confer upon you the degree Doctor of Laws, honoris causa, and invest you with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereunto. In token thereof, I hand you this diploma and vest you with the hood appropriate to your degree.
Thank you, President Stenger, Provost Hall, and Dean Bronstein. It's a bit surreal being up here, invited to receive an honorary degree and address the graduating class of 2024. Congratulations. I guess 25 years has passed and they forgot about the fact that maybe I didn't perform up to my potential back then. But in the interest of advancing the cause of sibling rivalry, I appeared here to receive an honorary degree because my brother has a JD, and I guess I one-up him now with a doctorate. But seriously, I want to congratulate this class as you start your, let's see. I want to congratulate this class as it reached its milestone and moves on into either careers of academia with further pursuits and accomplishments or into the workforce. This is a terrific achievement. As you sit here today, reflecting on all the hard work it took to get to this point, I ask that you also take a moment to consider how you will deploy your hard-earned skills for the common good going forward. Each of you have chosen to enroll at Binghamton's College of Community and Public Affairs, so you clearly know the importance of working together to solve major issues for our time and in our government. I thank you all for deciding to use your talents for the collective benefit. Many of your peers didn't do that. You're serving the collective benefit. My experience in the ROTC program when I was a student at Binghamton helped instill those same values that you share. When I was preparing to set out on my career journey, I had big hopes about serving the nation who gave me and my family so much when we arrived here as immigrants and refugees. Thankfully, I was able to do so in the Army, in American embassies abroad, and in the White House, and now as an academic and an activist. While not all of you will follow my path into the military, the importance of moral courage rings true across all spheres of public service and public leadership. That is why today I wish to speak about values, how to use them to navigate the treacherous situations you will inevitably face as you seek to improve your communities. During my youth and as a young professional, there were instances when I regretted missing an opportunity to do the right thing. I turned away when I saw something wrong. I'm sure everyone here can relate to this feeling. Perhaps you saw someone being bullied, but looked the other way. Or maybe you heard someone disparage a friend and remained silent, later wishing you had defended them. Or within your community, you witnessed an injustice and did nothing. When placed in a difficult environment, it's easy to rationalize inaction. You may tell yourself it's someone else's responsibility, or I wouldn't make a difference even if I tried. It's far more difficult to stand by your principles and convictions without hesitation. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said it beautifully. The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands in times of challenge and controversy. Accepting personal responsibility to do the right thing is rarely easy. But as people who have decided to take up the mantle of public leadership, as you have done, this is what you will be doing. This is what you're called to do. Morally courageous individuals recognize that if they want to change things, then they must be willing to speak up and be the catalyst of that change. I used to think that courage was a physical feat. In the military and in society, it's often the physical courage that receives honors. Throughout my 2 decades in the Army, I learned that this was wrong. I discovered that physical courage is hard, but it's easier than moral courage. Physical courage occurs in moments of crisis with little time to reflect on consequences. Moral courage is harder because it requires forethought and a clear understanding of personal consequences. I also learned that fortitude required to do the right thing is something that you can train yourself to do, to practice, then pass the test when truly challenged. Having moral courage will allow you to not lose yourself in the middle of difficult situations and be at peace with your actions and their consequences. Anyone, including you, can train yourself to do the right thing. Anyone can strengthen their moral courage as you would a muscle. And if you work at it, when it comes time to defend your values and choose the difficult right over the easy wrong, I guarantee you that those muscles will be strong. Small habits practiced often can change your life and prepare you for the hardest parts. The idea is to reach a place where you're trained to do the right thing as a matter of reflex. Moral courage should become second nature. Others will not hesitate to assault, undermine, desecrate your values, so you should not hesitate to defend them. As some of you may already know, several years ago I was called upon to defend my values and flex my moral courage muscles in front of millions of people. I'm glad I was ready. I was not born ready. I was not born ready with a innate moral compass. No one has that. Instead, like so many others, a combination of life lessons and training allowed me to learn over time how to do the right thing, even in unpredictable situations. My decision was to report presidential corruption was simply in keeping faith with my oath as an officer. I made a binary decision on what was right and wrong, regardless of the personal risk. Values are a compass to living life without regrets. In my testimony during the impeachment trial, I stated my view about America, that here, right matters. Upon reflecting on that impromptu comment, I realized that right matters is a layered notion that represents a host of beliefs. Right mattered in the context of the impeachment investigation. Right mattered for the integrity of the country, and right mattered still here, right matters, as it always will, and it should for you. The Army has a useful values paradigm in an acronym. Of course, it's military, so there's an acronym. It's called leadership: loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, personal courage. As a young officer, I observed others go through the same evolution I did. It is a testament to the Army values that people from diverse racial, political, economic, and religious backgrounds can come together and live a common set of values. We rally around them and use them to form a cohesive unit that endures even through the test of combat. The Army trained me, like all of its leaders, to not ignore the wrong. We do not ignore wrongdoing. We do not walk by mistakes. We do not stand idly by when someone challenges your values. We make corrections on the spot. As part of my command philosophy, I said, if your correction is justified and delivered with respect, you can correct anyone. If there is a wrong, you have a responsibility to make it. Through repetition and training your values muscle, you will develop the ability to stick with your convictions regardless of the circumstances. The acronym leadership I mentioned earlier can be used by anyone in their personal life and lives. In any situation, you can run your actions and your behavior against the test. Am I displaying leadership? Am I fulfilling my duties and responsibilities to my institution, to myself? Am I being respectful? Is the act in the service of public interest? Am I behaving in an honorable way? Am I conducting myself with integrity? Am I exercising personal courage? Each one of these values is important in its own merit, but when you combine them, you have what I refer to as doing the right thing in the right way. Public service has been my way of exercising values. For me, this was a decades-long commitment to the armed forces. You all will engage in public service in diverse ways. Public service means focusing not on what's best for you, what's in your own interest, but what's best for the community and for society. Therefore, you will have plenty of opportunities to develop your values muscle. As a military guy and a history buff, I often thought of the way that Joseph Welch stood up to Senator Joseph McCarthy. For years, McCarthy had attacked the character of patriotism and everyone around him, making the mockery of truth and due process. Joseph Welch, the chief counsel of the Army, was in a hearing in front of McCarthy in 1954 when he could no longer hold back and asked, "Have you no sense of decency, sir, at long last?" His demand for accountability at that moment turned back the rising tide of McCarthyism. A single act of moral courage can have the power to change the course of history. So as long as you speak out, you cannot fail. So if you want leaders of integrity and conscience, demand it. If you want to hold your officials accountable, demand it. And if you want better for your community, don't just demand it. Engage with your community, be the leader that you wish to be, because this is America, and here, right matters. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman, for those inspired remarks, which are particularly relevant for CCPA graduates who know the importance of courage. I can attest to that. I'd now like to introduce Carol Tredell, who's in charge of our Alumni Association, and she will make a few remarks to you now that you're just about alumni.
Congratulations to you, Binghamton's class of 2024. It is truly an honor to be here sharing this occasion with you as the president of your Alumni Association. It's hard to believe just 8 years ago, I was sitting where you are, feeling the same emotions as you. I was excited to begin my next phase, but sad to be leaving friends and a place that became second home to me. It was also overwhelming to think about the many adjustments I'd have to make in moving from campus life to being out in the world, including moving back in with mom and dad. Our alumni community has been a tremendous source of support for me. It's why I've continued to be engaged with the university, and it's why I encourage everyone else to be involved. I acknowledge that I'm standing before you quite young, and I have to be honest that when I was elected to become the president of your Alumni Association, I was nervous. I was nervous about leading a group filled with so many achievements and accolades while I was still growing into my own self. What I quickly found was that I had no reason to be nervous. I was, and continue to be, surrounded by a community that provides endless support, encourages success, and celebrates wins. By graduating today, you're automatically a member of this community, the Alumni Association. Inside your diploma cover, you'll find a card that talks about what is available to you. In addition to the friends you've made here on campus, you have a worldwide network of alumni that you could tap into. More than 150,000 people across more than 100 countries. Wherever you go, there is likely to be a Binghamton grad who can offer support, answer questions, or just chat about your shared Binghamton experiences. What I like to say is don't be shy about reaching out. I know I'm typically not. There are also many opportunities to stay connected with the university, and you don't need to be here on campus to appreciate such. The Alumni Association connects you with other Binghamton alumni, helps to build skills that can translate to your professional life, and expand your network. Overall, we are a resource that I encourage you to take advantage of, even if it's simply connecting with us on LinkedIn or popping by our tailgate tent during homecoming. Enjoy today with your family and friends. Experience all the feels, and know that you're ready for wherever life takes you. You're a Bearcat, you could do this. Again, congratulations, your Alumni Association is excited to have you.
Thank you, Kara. At this time, we will recognize the accomplishments of our master's degree candidates. Will the candidates for master's degrees from the College of Community and Public Affairs please rise? President Stenger, as Dean of the College of Community and Public Affairs, I'm pleased to present to you these candidates who have fulfilled all their master's degree requirements as prescribed by the faculty. School Marshal Christina Marty and Student Marshal Amane Natale, please lead the master's candidates in human rights to the platform so that all may receive recognition for their academic achievement.
Amani Natali. A. Marr. Anthony Jones. Elizabeth Coco Rodriguez. Kara Chadwell. Arman Harid. Isabel Gurridge.
Student Marshal Samuel Marks, Nicholas Habarija, and Jacqueline Jurgensen, please lead the master's candidates in the Department of Public Administration, Genocide and Mass Atrocity Prevention, and Sustainable Communities to the platform so that all may receive recognition for their academic achievement.
Samuel Marks. Bogdan Petru Majinian. Alexander Yonmaker. Joseph Daly Gadi. Letitia Tierney Fabin. Jianqing Wu. Zia Lee. Nastasia Radulov. Alexia Radulov. Joshua Samuel. Dominic Biagio Bossi. Curtis John Riley. Elizabeth Grace Friedman. Ella Rose Chin. Spencer Reese Freer. Victoria Barracks. Nicholas Habarugira. Jessica Alvarado. Jana Nicole Picciano. Matthew Walton Schreiber. Catherine Morgan Wolf. Monishka Javeri. Amanda Serafina Escodo. Kaylee Smith. Leah Maria Lorenzana, Annabelle Banks, Eden Ann Greenberg, Ruby Grace Tower, Alexi Louise Burgess, Samantha Helen Carroll, Mia Nicole Tucker, Dana Solazo, Dylan Licata, Jacqueline Elena Jurgensen, William Tedder Denpy, Braden M. Alessi, Nicholas John DeMarsh, David Patrick Pulliam Jr., Joseph Cameron, Elijah Boyd Conlin, Amy Shannon Hartman, Mary Catherine Keefe, Isabel Wilson, Livia Batista Maciel Braga, Sophia L. Papas, Julia Cheney Klein, Samantha Marie Finlayson, Alex Elizabeth Martin,
Student Marshal Ni Tete, please lead the master's candidates in the Department of Student Affairs Administration to the platform so that all may receive recognition for their academic achievement.
You're fine.
Skip the social work people. That's okay. They're your department. We'll get them later. We'll get them next. We'll get them next. For you to forget that. Just don't forget them.
Ni Dorothy Tete. Sophie Whittington. Matthew B. Amodeo. Sophia Marie Ryan. Aaron Makulas Mesco. Serena Marie Washburn. Liz Marie de Jesus. Alicia Harris. Eva Carmen Vasquez. Christina Grace Cardona. Alexandra Jean Yeager. Jose R. Folguera.
All right, as a proud social worker, I sincerely apologize for getting this out of order. So now, Student Marshal Jasmine Walker, please lead the master's candidates in the Department of Social Work to the platform so that all may receive recognition for their academic achievement.
Jasmine A. Walker. Carolyn Claire Chang. Severin Caria Corliss. Calix Randall Steiner. Caleb J. Young. Michael Anthony Amadeo. Eric Michael O'Brien. Dakota M. Rakan. Amanda M. Jogler. Alexis Marie Pascarella. Derek Anthony Mendoza. Alexis Y. King. Zachary D. Reyes. Jennifer Lynn Pierpont Johns. Gabriella Christine Klossner. Ashley Simone Arnau. Jeanette Gisau. Sanya Cassandra Charles. Giuliana Rutigliano. Jody Marie Ling. Leah Paige Dietrich. Claudia Smith. Casey Ward Adrian. Caitlin V. Migliori. Marley Alexis Brooks. Kendall Elizabeth Toker. Suzanne Janine Schulten. Katie Rendinero Kimple. Margaret Catherine Reagan. Tova Gabrielle Walensky. Elliot Townsend. Emily Michelle Savamini. Alexandria Rosemarie Ashley. Jasmine Shorm. Lamar Joshua Taylor. Jenna Marie Esposito. Brianna Radford Proctor. Louise Natalie Henley. Jennifer Margaret Edger. Gigi Lillian Marcus. Dylan Matthew Pacala. Miranda Jane Bianchi. Sarah Michelle Ludvigsen. Emma R. Macy. Alexa Rose Hughes. Caitlin R. Johnson. Sarah R. Cerruti. Celeste Victoria Peterzak. Mia Bornfriend. Haley Silver Corrett. Elia Naisa Edwards. Jennifer Christine Gleason. Elisa Nicole Cafararo. Lindsay Marie Meldrum. Kayleen M. Contento. Elizabeth Thurston Sweeney. Ryan J. Corsonetti. Amanda R. Yanez. Susanna Villarreal. Renee M. Martinez. Sarah N. Mullen.
Okay. Student Marshal Luz Andujar de Jesus, please lead the master's candidates in the Department of Teaching, Learning, and Educational Leadership to the platform so that all may receive recognition for their achievement.
Luz Melissa Andujar de Jesus. Maria Angelina Stropoli. Kelsey Brianna Bartlett. Kayla Michelle McBride. Brianna Thomasina Springer. Katie M. Isgro. Caitlin Cottrell. The name? Yes. Karen Michelle Stanley. Carmela Marie Culhane. Zejun Chen. Patrick Michael Dempsey. Vagamani Sita. Alexandra Nicole Mustakas. Bethany A. Miller. Grace E. Morton. Tiffany Lene Fowler. Sarah Samantha Marshall. McKenna Madison Bunnell. Juliana M. Tobin. Andrew Poyer. Julia Scardino. Sophia M. Azara. Jada McCann. Shannon Spears. Rebecca Lynn Harding. Ryan Joseph Kaminsky. Andrew Edward Miller. Terrence Lowe. Christopher Alex Barker. Stefania Lucha Piantadosi. I swear I practiced that. Emily Louise Gregory. Isabella M. Grimaldi. Hannah Catherine Kirst. Hope Elizabeth Townsend. Ryan Feldbaum. Emily G. Hyde. Matthew Joseph Polimani. Christian Grenga. Parker Charles Baldouf. Sarah Elizabeth Mills. Anne Marie Josephson. Caitlin Emily Stokeham. Natalia Dea Bachin. Aristi Palioris. Carol Ann Palshan. Angela Lee. Spencer Lubell. John Chachow. Stacy Safari. Jillian Spordone. Jake Dronke. Frederick Schultz. John Herzog.
All master's candidates from the College of Community and Public Affairs, please stand. President Stenger, as Dean of the College of Community and Public Affairs, I am honored to present you these candidates for master's degrees.
For those who have successfully completed all degree requirements by the authority vested in me by the Chancellor and the Board of Trustees of the State University of New York and the Board of Regents of the University of the State of New York, I confer on each of you the appropriate master's degree with all the rights and privileges which pertain to that degree here and elsewhere. On behalf of the Binghamton University community, I congratulate you for this well-earned accomplishment.
The recipients of master's degrees from the College of Community and Public Affairs may be seated. I'd now like to introduce Matthew McCann, Associate Professor and Chair of Teaching, Learning, and Educational Leadership.
Hello. It is my pleasure and privilege to introduce the College of Community and Public Affairs graduate student commencement speaker, Sarah Marshall. Sarah earned her Bachelor of Arts in English Literature and Creative Writing here at Binghamton University, where she graduated with honors. As a graduate student in the Department of Teaching, Learning, and Educational Leadership, Sarah has fulfilled her requirements for New York State Initial Certificate in English Language Arts, grades 7 to 12, and is now fully certified high school English teacher. Her experience goes well beyond the classrooms here at Binghamton University, as she has proven herself to have all the intellectual and empathetic qualities that make a great teacher. I've worked with Sarah as her instructor, advisor, and her supervisor in the field. And in doing so, I've had multiple opportunities to watch her teach. And I can say, without hesitation, that I would be proud if either of my children were sitting in her classrooms this fall. I am delighted to have the opportunity to introduce this year's graduate speaker, Sarah Marshall.
Hi, I'm so honored to be here. Welcome, everyone. Most graduation speeches talk about the future, all the amazing things that we as students are going to go on to do in this next stage of our lives. I think I speak for most of us here when we've been asked, what's next, or any plans after graduation, ad nauseum. So, instead of speaking of the future, I'm going to talk a bit about the past, as if we don't dwell on that enough either. To do so, I'd like to introduce a concept from a show called Russian Doll. It's called a Coney Island. A Coney Island is the thing that would have made everything better if only it had happened, or didn't happen, and if only. While we all have our own Coney Islands in life, if we had or hadn't decided to pursue something, if we had gone somewhere on a certain night, I think there's one that impacts us all today. I would bet that at some point, each of us has sat and wondered what college would have been like if COVID hadn't happened. For me, I was a second semester freshman in the spring of 2020, with plans of studying abroad in England, getting a theater minor, and attending a private university for my master's. Like many others, my plans and dreams of the college experience were gone in an instant. Instead of spending the spring of my sophomore year in London, it was spent like many others, sitting in my dorm room, doing Zoom school with nothing to do except going to the dining hall and making the occasional trek from Mountain View to Duncan. One day during my sophomore year, I was sitting in my dorm room pondering what the future would look like, disappointed I didn't have the sense of direction I expected to. I knew I wanted to go into teaching, but something was missing. Teaching is something that's always been intriguing to me, but in reality, it wasn't my passion. What I'd really always dreamed of was being a performer. At that moment, it hit me. I did want to teach, I really did, but if I never went for my other dream, I would never be fulfilled in this profession. I realized pursuing my dream itself would become my own Coney Island if I didn't do something about it. So I changed my plans, decided to stay at Bing to complete my master's as well, and afterwards I would move to New York and pursue my dream. I was accepted, and in the fall of 2022, I began studying for my MAT in English Adolescent Education. It was difficult work, but I was getting by. I enjoyed it, but my eyes were still on my true dream. The more time I spent in the program, I began to truly have a love for the art and science of teaching. My backup plan was becoming a new purpose and a new plan. Seeing my impact in real time has been one of the most rewarding experiences of my life. So this fall, when my student teaching began, I thought I was in the home stretch. Things were going well until unexpectedly in November, I was unable to complete my placement due to reasons not fully in my control. It was devastating. Everything I had been building toward for years had come to a screeching halt again. My plans to finish in December with the rest of my cohort were no longer possible, and I wasn't even sure I'd be walking. All I could do in that moment was wait, something that has never been a strong suit of mine. I sat and wondered why this happened. Was the world trying to send me a message? What was I supposed to take from all this? Seeing how I'm standing talking to you today, obviously things ended up working out. This spring, I completed my final and favorite placement with a teacher who trusted me and pushed me to do my best, and students who are some of the biggest Pookies I have ever met. As much as I wish there aren't answers to everything bad that happens to us. Both COVID and my graduation delay stopped my life in its tracks and forced me to take an alternate route. At the time, they felt like everything I valued about daily life was taken and ruined. But after many spirals into an it's not fair tantrum, they both caused immense personal growth, as many bad things do. While I used to wonder why my original plans never ended up happening, I now realize there's no timeline in which they did. I just didn't know it yet. And look, am I fully over everything? Are we all fully over everything that's happened in the past couple of years? No, because that's not how it works, but we will be. We're okay. We're here, and we're okay. A Coney Island, the thing that would have made everything better if only it had happened, or didn't happen. So why bring up a niche reference from a TV show in front of you all today? To remind you that life keeps going. A lot of us, including myself, are absolutely terrified right now. Whether we're going on to more schooling or entering the workforce, there is a new expectation from society that we have to know what we're doing. I don't know about you guys, but I don't. Regardless, we'll be okay. And look, 10 or 20 years from now, when someone I know is in college having the time of their lives, am I going to be a bit resentful? I could. I could be resentful that I didn't have that ideal experience, but then I would be forgetting my experience and all of the friendships I've made, and frankly, I wouldn't trade those for the world. Remembering the past is important. Staying there is when it starts to do more harm than good. We have to let the universe, the world, and ourselves tell us where we're really meant to go. So the next time you find yourself stuck on something in the past and how it's impacting you in that very moment, remember that Coney Island for what it is, and if only. Congratulations, everyone.
Thank you, Sarah. It is my pleasure and privilege to introduce the undergraduate student speaker for the College of Community and Public Affairs commencement ceremony, Elisa Chung. Elisa's academic journey is one to admire. As a first-generation Chinese-American student who knew early on that she wanted to go into counseling, Elisa initially focused on obtaining a psychology degree. However, after learning about the breadth that social work professionals have, in addition to appreciating the values of the discipline, she opted to pursue both her psychology and social work degrees while simultaneously managing part-time employment in the human services field. Elisa is an exceptional student who has shown growth and fortitude over her time in the social work program. She was exposed to different populations, theories, and practice models, but came to understand that focusing on the mental health of children and adolescents was her calling. Elisa will continue her social work education next year at New York University with the goal of improving her knowledge and skills with young people with autism spectrum disorder. Elisa knows her academic journey could not have happened without the support of her friends and family, especially her parents, for whom she is so grateful for their sacrifice and dedication to get her here today. Elisa, on behalf of the Social Work Department, congratulations.
Wow, okay. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished faculties, honored guests, proud parents, and most importantly, the remarkable graduates of Binghamton University, class of 2024. It is a tremendous honor to stand before you here today on this momentous occasion. It is concluding years of countless papers, emails, long late nights, and for many of you, it's actually the start of a beautiful long-term relationship with caffeine. Good luck with that. For those who don't know me, that was a beautiful introduction by Dr. Scheib. I am Elisa. I am graduating with the social work cohort. And something not mentioned is that I am not the best public speaker. In fact, I have a really bad habit of speaking really quickly. And so I've written myself notes, and it really just says to breathe and to slow down. So if I start speeding up, give me a little wave and tell me to slow down a little bit. Like all of us here at CCPA, I value the importance of words, the value of clear, concise communication. As such, I understand how difficult effective communication is at the best of times, let alone in a situation like this, addressing all of you. And that is why I rewrote this speech so many times, trying to find the right combination of words to convey my exact emotion and intent to the countless individuals sitting here today. What message did I want to leave with you all, hoping to spur you on into the following stages of your life? What emotional and heartfelt quotes could I use to captivate you all in this moment, one so glorious and magnificent that you may recall it years later? And it was then I knew that it should not be my purpose for standing here today. I'm 21 years old, and many of us sat in the same classes together with the same confused look on our faces. What infinite wisdom do I even have to hope to impart onto you all? And so those drafts got scrapped, and instead, I began to write this speech, hoping to share my experiences to connect with you all for just one moment. I can't be the only one who felt these past few years have been quite rough. Many of us started college amidst the 2020 pandemic. I remember quarantining inside my dorms, only leaving the building to get meals every few hours. I remember having classes online that I 100% paid attention to, 100%. I remember becoming really close friends with the people living on our floor because there was only so many people we could interact with on a daily basis. And they were interesting times, to say the least. And when the restrictions lifted, I expected things to return to normal. But no matter how much time passed, things never really seemed to fit just quite right. The hobbies weren't as relaxing as they used to be. Resting seemed almost impossible, and it felt like every other day we were getting news of something happening, something to be careful of or to be mad about. And slowly, it felt like everywhere I looked, countless reasons to be pessimistic about the future continued to rise up. A divided government, constant fights for our rights, and the rising cost of living, which at this point should be called the cost to survive, because there's a clear distinction between living and surviving. And everywhere I looked, there were endless arguments about the blacks and white of a topic without attempting to understand the gradients in between. Because what choice did we have when everything was made to be decisive and your opinion needs to be strong and unwavering, and how dare you show any hesitance? But then there would be these bright spots. It would be a friend inviting you to hang out or to have an engaging discussion with your classmates. It would be a class that you were looking forward to, or a professor whose passion pours out for them with every word they say and infects you with their curiosity and drives you to learn more, to do more. And it would be like moments that I would look back on that makes me proud to be a student of CCPA. Because no matter how bad things seem to get, I would hear people, you, my peers, talking, planning for change. And in those moments, I would slow down and I would breathe. And that is why, no matter where you decide to venture to after leaving the walls of this university, know that you are making a difference in the world. Whether you go on to advocate for change on the international stage or stay on that 3-hour phone call with your friend who is venting, you are making a difference, and the world is all that much better for it. We are students of CCPA, the College of Community and Public Affairs. We have spent these past few years learning from each other, our experiences, and our professors, the importance of a strong community and the ways that we strengthen them. We, more than anything, understand the potential for change and the role that we play in it. As such, let us bask in the joys and celebrations of our grand entrance into the world, class of 2024. Our futures are filled with endless possibilities, and I know you will all shine as the bright beacons of knowledge, compassion, and change, no matter where you are. Thank you.
Thank you, Elisa, for your remarks. At this time, we'll recognize the accomplishments of our baccalaureate degree candidates. First, we'll recognize students who have achieved Latin honors. Latin honors are based on students' cumulative grade point average. We recognize 3 levels of achievement: cum laude, magna cum laude, and summa cum laude. The names of the candidates for these honors appear in the commencement program. We'll not announce each by name, but we shall recognize students attending today by having them stand in place. Candidates graduating cum laude, please rise. You may be seated. Candidates graduating magna cum laude, please rise. You may be seated. And candidates graduating summa cum laude, please rise. Okay. You may be seated. My congratulations to all of you on your outstanding academic achievements. Now will all baccalaureate degree candidates please rise? President Stenger, as Dean of the College of Community and Public Affairs, I'm pleased to present to you these candidates who have fulfilled all their baccalaureate degree requirements as prescribed by the faculty. Student Marshal Sarah Kelt and Student Marshal Shannon Santos, please lead the baccalaureate candidates in the Department of Human Development to the platform so that all may receive recognition for their achievement.
Sarah Elizabeth Selt. Shannon Ann Santos. Julia Gold Lesikowski. Jenna Lindsay Cohen. Samantha Paige Walensky. Jessica Lee DiCrescento. Jamie Lee Weiss. Kathleen Ann Cosgrove. Margaret Jane McMinn. Ava Helen Honey. Jacqueline Taylor Coretta. Stephanie Ann Romero. Gabriella Alexandra Rigo. Jenna Lester. Jordan Elizabeth Ragona. Faith Lorraine Onadonk Youngquist. Serena Jill Robick. Amy Malley. Marissa Danielle Paitlin. Alana Eve Schrechter. Anne Marie Mediante. Sarah Alexa Petruccelli. Zelia Jane Vernon. Jada Chris Ann Watson. Nashara Janae Diana Morrow. Mariani Bautista. Jasleen Jaime. Haley Page Kuhn. Layla Sky Savoco. Joshua Ovadia. Jack William Medola. Jack Samuel Dreyfus. Sarah Ashley Sessler. Remy Madison Leibowitz. Nicole Sadie Barkoff. Shannon Elizabeth Strell. Katie Morgan Blockner. Abigail Lynn Wilson. Sabrina Rose Moriatis. Sam Alexander Seberg. Jonah Russell Swartz. Ethan Jeffrey Newman. Devin Rain. Lillian McCormick. Happy birthday, Lillian. Mariah Book. Taylor Emily Meyer. Patricia Fernandez. Michaela McManus. Katie Langer. Giovanna M. Bucarelli. Irvin Xavier Evangelista. William H. Noecker. Brianna Jenkins. Mark Littrell. Nora Coppola. Angie Molina Santos. Amaris Celeste Carrillo. Sally Jen. Osley Brianka Moldovic. Emily Rose Kaufman. Stephanie Lynn. Kagitha Kumarasiam. Julina Ho. Sarah Kaplan. Julia Marie Bonelli. Giovanni Saratori. Ian Michael Hauser. Tyreek Bolagon. Ashley Valentine. What? Chenery, okay. Ty Moose Chenery. Maxwell Ton Foster. Aiko Flores. Yaldilsa Fernandez. Deborah Rachel Perlmutter. Leah Elizabeth Wardlaw. Catherine H. Simon. I love you too, darling. Allison Elizabeth Meshberg. Trevor James Sutar. Leanne Yasmin Almonte. Elisa Rose Morales.
Student Marshal Hamina Rooker, please lead the baccalaureate candidates in the Department of Social Work to the platform so that all may receive recognition for their achievement.
Hamina LaPrecious Rucker. Zakia Kayla Noor Singletary. Yanalise Castro Calderon. Tyler Jonathan Leopold. Jordan Matthew Crook. Elisa Chung. Michaela Serene. Avery Elizabeth Burnsworth. Claire Marie Competillo. William Brady. Ariel Marie Hockman. Madeline R. Goldberg. Miranda Christine Bennett. Shannon Lee Van Dyke. Samantha Rose Hirschman. Leah C. Riley. Katie Sarah Bay. Abigail Rose Shearer. Skylar Renee Turak. Avalee Elizabeth Silva Filho. Olivia Caroline Smith. Ava Marie Presley. Galena Cyril Edelstein. Christopher John. Dylan Andrew Dial. Catherine May Hood. Khadijah Khalid Butt. Heaven Serenity Anderson. Shania P. Brown. Emily Michelle Feldman. Oops. Oh. Samantha Grays Horowitz. Hannah Gabrielle Bloom. Maya Adina Hoff. Layla Bonilla. Annie H. Safir. Madison Sarah Mark.
I'd now like to ask everyone to rise as they're able to join our vocalist Victoria Barracks as we sing the Binghamton University alma mater. We invite everyone to join in singing the refrain and the second verse. The lyrics may be found on the back cover of the commencement program.
Please be seated.
Except for the baccalaureate candidates who remain standing.
That was my line.
Okay, President Stenger, I'm honored to present to you these candidates for the baccalaureate degree by the university.
For those who have successfully completed all degree requirements, by the authority vested in me by the Chancellor and the Board of Trustees of the State University of New York and the Board of Regents of the University of the State of New York, I confer on each of you the appropriate baccalaureate degree with all the rights and privileges accompanying it. On behalf of the Binghamton University community, I congratulate you all for this well-earned accomplishment. As is customary, upon conferral of the baccalaureate degree, those receiving this degree may now move the tassel on your cap from the right to the left. Can all the candidates, please rise? All candidates rise. Ladies and gentlemen, parents, partners, and friends, I present to you Binghamton University's Master's and Baccalaureate College of Community and Public Affairs graduating class of 2024.
And since all graduates and families and friends of the College of Community and Public Affairs know that a party is not ending here, we invite you to join us for a reception immediately following the ceremony at the University Downtown Center. We hope to see you there.
The spring commencement proceedings of the State University of New York at Binghamton are now concluded. We kindly ask the audience to remain seated for the academic recessional. Once the academic recessional is completed, please exit as soon as you are able to allow families and graduates of the next ceremony to enter.